So we're working through some examples of solving equations using inverse operations. So in this next example, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that the variable does not always need to be on the left-hand side. All right, so the equation I want to solve is 9 parentheses 5 minus x is equal to negative 3x. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute that 9 through in order to break these parentheses so I can start moving some pieces around. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times negative x is negative 9x, which I'll write as minus 9x. And then over here on this right-hand side, I'll just carry down that piece. Don't drop it, okay? So everything that you don't use, you're just going to bring it down to the next line. Now at this point in time, I don't have any like terms over here, and I don't have even more than one term over here, so now I'm going to try to get my variable pieces together. On this side, since I have constants and variable terms, it would make sense that I'm going to move this variable piece out of here, because the only thing on this side is a variable piece. So I'm going to move this piece out of here, and because he's negative, to move it, its inverse operation is going to be to add it. Now again, if you want, you can put a slash right here to show that these two pieces cancel. Over here on the left-hand side, I'll be left with 45. And over here on the right-hand side, negative 3x plus 9x is going to be positive 6x. And because I did the same thing to both sides, I know that my equation is still in balance. Remember, you have to show your inverse operation on both sides of the equation. Now, I want for this variable to get that number away from its I want it to be a coefficient of 1. Right now it's a coefficient of 6. Because this is multiplication that connects that 6 to that number, to get that 6 out of there, I'm going to divide it. So I'm going to use my fraction bar, and I'm going to divide both sides by 6. Those two pieces will technically cancel, which means on this side that I introduced the inverse operation, I'm just going to get my variable by itself, so that x. And then over here on this side, 45 divided by 6. Well, that does not divide nicely, so I'm going to leave it as a fraction. But if I can simplify that fraction, I will. And I can. Both of these things are divisible by 3. So 45 divided by 3 is 15, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So please leave it as a fraction, not a decimal. Fractions are the preferred way to write your final answers. Now I want you to notice that my variable is over here on the right-hand side, and that is absolutely okay. This is what I don't want to see happen. If you have this thing right here, and you divide both sides by 6, what I should not see on the next line is this. This x right here was on the right-hand side. You can't just move it to the left-hand side. It can't do that. If you want to move this variable from the right side to the left side, you have to do it using an inverse operation. Okay? So you cannot do this. Okay? If you don't like that variable piece being over there on the right-hand side, so if you have this and you really don't like the fact that this x is on the right-hand side, which it doesn't matter, that's totally fine, it's over there. But if you really don't like it and you wanted to move it, well, I guess what? You're going to use an inverse operation to move it to the left-hand side. Now this is painful, okay, but this is what it would look like. Okay, so technically over here, since I don't have anything over there, I guess I would have a 0. Then I would have to get the constant to the other side. Okay, now I would get that coefficient away from that variable. And then again, that does not divide nicely, so I would leave it as a fraction in simplified form. That's what you would have to do if you wanted this variable to come over here to the left, which that's kind of a pain. So what I would encourage you to do is just get comfortable with leaving the variable on whatever side of the equation it ended up being on after you chose to do your inverse operations. Since the variable's over here on the right, it will stay over here on the right. If you wanted to move it to the left, you have to use inverse operations to move it.